The reflection that wasn't mine. It started on a Tuesday night. Jake had just moved into his new apartment, a small, affordable unit on the 7th floor of an old building. It wasn't perfect, but it was quiet, and that's all he wanted. But something felt off. The full-length mirror in the hallway gave him an unsettling feeling. It wasn't anything obvious, but every time he passed it, he felt as if his reflection took a fraction of a second too long to mimic his movements. At first, he dismissed it as paranoia. That was his first mistake. A few days later, things got weirder. One night, while brushing his teeth, he noticed something unusual in the mirror. His reflection was smirking, but Jake wasn't. His heart pounded as he stepped back. Maybe he was seeing things? He rubbed his eyes and looked again. The smirk was gone. His reflection was normal. Just tired, he muttered to himself. But then, objects started moving. His toothbrush was on the sink, then suddenly on the shelf. The bathroom light flickered whenever he stared into the mirror for too long. And then, the whispers started. Soft, almost too quiet to hear. "Let me out!" Jake spun around. Nothing. The apartment was empty, but the voice didn't come from the room. It came from the mirror. One night, after a long shift at work, Jake came home exhausted. He threw his keys on the counter and collapsed onto the bed, but something felt wrong. The air was heavy, thick, like something unseen was pressing against his chest. He turned his head toward the hallway and froze. The mirror was facing his bed. He was sure he had left it against the wall. Then he saw it. His reflection stood there, but something was different. It was grinning, wide, unnatural, almost inhuman. Then it raised its hand and waved. Jake didn't move. His real hand stayed still. His reflection was acting on its own. Jake bolted from his bed, grabbed the nearest object, a chair, and hurled it at the mirror. The glass shattered into 1,000 pieces, the sound echoing through the apartment. Breathing heavily, he stepped closer, heart hammering in his chest. The mirror was gone. Only shards remained. For a moment, relief washed over him, until he heard a sound behind him. A whisper. That was a mistake. Jake turned, but before he could react, his hands, burst out from the broken glass, grabbing his legs. He screamed, trying to fight, but the grip was too strong. The reflection, now fully outside the mirror, was pulling him in. His vision blurred, his body went numb. The last thing he saw was his own face, smirking as it stepped over the broken glass, and walked away. Jake was never seen again. His apartment was leased to a new tenant a few months later. The landlord replaced the mirror. But sometimes, late at night, when the new tenant walks by, the reflection doesn't always match. Want more? Follow for the scariest stories